when you say about being slightly kinder to yourself, do you reckon you can elaborate a little bit more as to what that kind of looks like, and, or maybe even feels like for you? Because I think I'm always, I think sometimes people can see kindness and they maybe label it as just, oh, I'm just going to be kind, but actually the act of being kind is really the important part of it. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I kind of try to be kinder to myself, but also kinder to others. I found that giving back or doing for others
Yeah.
was kind to me. Like it,
Mm.
I think as humans, we're supposed to be compassionate human beings, and community is something that is, ingrained and innate to us as a species. Like we are supposed to have that community. So I found that first of all, I'm your typical overachiever kid. I grew up being, you know, always wanting to be the best at everything, and I really had determination to be the best at everything. And I grew into a very anxious, stressed adult that beat myself up a lot when I wasn't perfect or the absolute best. And to me, being kind to myself was taking a lot of control over that. I had a lot of negative self-talk, and like I said, I would just beat myself up. So being kind to myself was putting a stop to a lot of those thoughts, realizing that perfection is not attainable, and that life is not about being perfect. You learn more from messing up. You learn more from your failures, and you grow more from those things. And the more I was trying to be perfect, the more I was stopping myself from growing. And I think once I came to that realization, yeah, like a lot of the negative self-talk stopped. And that is what I mean when I say I'm kind to myself, and with the 6 p.m. cutoff, and making
Mm.
sure that I'm keeping in stuff that I find genuinely enjoyable, giving back to others as well. I started taking a lot more interest in things outside of sport, and things that were, you know, giving to other people. And I found that, you know, that all came back to me. I believe I'm very into energies, and I believe whatever you put out into the world will come back to you. And I've very much found that to be true. The older I get.
Where was that? Where did that awareness come from that you were being, not for a better word, kind of self-destructive on yourself? When there'd be so many young athletes that are like that, and I think it's rife now. I think it is a really big thing where self-comparison, just low self-esteem, just feelings of low self-worth due to constant barrages of messages coming at them from external sources. Where was that tipping point for you? Was it inner work that you did? Was it someone that maybe intervened, or can you almost pinpoint it?
Um, I kind of knew from a very young age, like even when I was a child, I would beat myself up about things, or I was always very aware of like external. I think I got used to external validation from a very young age, so I was always very aware of people's perceptions of me. And like I said, it got worse as I got older. I don't think there's a specific time or point in which I realized it was a problem. I definitely There's definitely a period of my life where I think I started to realize it was an issue. Probably around
Mm.
2012. So I was about 18. It was Olympic year, obviously a home Olympics. I had kind of been pinpointed to be one of our star athletes. And at this point, obviously, sport was so huge in the UK. Everyone was getting behind athletes. And I was very much one of those athletes that was being built up. And that whole year, I struggled with injuries. And, a couple of years leading up to that, I was really struggling with a lot of self-worth issues and identity issues. So 2012 kind of all came to a head. I didn't end up making the team. I ended up tearing my hamstring at the Olympic trials. And actually, I guess there was probably a specific moment. I was lying on the track. There was a camera in my face. I was an 18-year-old girl that had put everything, my whole life, into trying to achieve that moment. And now I was on live television, bawling my eyes out with at the time, what I felt was like my greatest failure being broadcast on national TV. And in that moment, I realized I have to do something here because this is not good. And I spiraled pretty heavily. I say pretty heavily, very heavily after that. That was probably the point in which I realized that something needs to change. I'm not sure whether I did too much to change at that point, but I think it became evident that my thoughts were not normal and they were not healthy. It took me a few years from there to actually speak up about it or seek help for it or really try and do something about those thoughts. But I would say in that moment, I realized that this is not going in the right direction.
I think 2012 I had read that story about you tearing your hamstring pre 2012, and I think just there you talking about the mental effects of it, how it mentally impacted you and where it took you after. I resonate with that through my injury, an injury ending my career, like it just ended it. And so I resonate with the identity side of it. I think in 2012, there was probably a very embryonic conversation going on around mental health in athletes. So I think still old things are being done. If you think about just how insane that sounds, a camera in your face when the worst thing that's going on in your life at the time was happening, there would probably be very little not acknowledgement of the empathy that would be needed in order to help you as a human being. Because I believe we're in a better world now. Yes, there's, as much as there is social media that is dangerous and volatile, there's also this loving and empathetic side of it as well, and it really
Completely.
does help. I started to think about Adam Jamili's injury that he got in Tokyo, and I just, when he went, I was just like, oh my god, this is really hard for him to take, and like Dina Asher-Smith as well, and just people like that had put so much in, and then the cameras happened to be there, but the outpouring from social media, there was a lot of love, there was a lot of compassion. I can imagine it was a lot different in 2012 for you. So what did you lean on coming out of that experience to help you get to a better place? Was it people? Was there anything that you made a definite switch from in the way you were thinking or behaving?
Yeah, I think in 2012, I started to take more ownership over my career. Like I said, I was 18. I was very young. Previous to that, I really, along with just the enormous amount of pressure that had been on me as a young athlete, I really didn't feel like I was calling the shots in any of what I was doing. I felt like there was an external team around me that spoke for me, and I never spoke for myself. And decisions were being made around me, and people were deciding what was best for me. But no one ever asked me what was best for me. So I think in 2012, I started taking ownership over the direction that I wanted to go in. I pretty much got rid of everybody around me. I found a new coaching setup. I moved agencies, and I finally put a team around me that I had chosen. So it was kind of the start of that, like just taking some ownership over things. I still struggled for a lot of years after that. I'd say the next time that everything came to a head was 2015. I had struggled with injuries again. I I didn't make a team again, or I did make a team actually. I made a relay team. I didn't make, for the first time, I didn't make an individual sport on a team. And I experienced going to a championships just as a relay athlete. And I found that really difficult. I had not had a great couple of years. 2014 went really well. And then, 2015 went back downhill. And I think that was probably the biggest turning point for me. It's when I moved to the States and I did the same thing again. I just got rid of everything around me. I didn't feel like I was in a healthy environment. So I moved, I basically did what I did in 2012, but a more drastic version of it. I moved across the world and started a completely new life, effectively, that was governed completely by me. I started therapy for the first time, which had always been something that I didn't feel like I needed. Again, that was at the point where therapy was still very taboo, and athletes were meant to be these incredibly mentally tough people that didn't struggle with emotions. And it just felt like a weakness to me to be reaching out to somebody external. But I finally did it, and it quite literally saved my life, as did the move to the States. I think just starting afresh, I found a very empathetic coach that worked with me both physically and mentally. He really opened my eyes to the physical toll a mental stress can have on you. So I'd say in 2015, I really started taking some serious steps towards actually healing myself, rather than, I think in 2012, I had focused on healing athlete Jodie. 2015 is probably the first time I thought, you are not two separate people. You are a whole person, and you need to heal your whole self. And these two things are interlinked. Everything that's going on outside of track is affecting you on the track. So you need to go to the source of the problem, rather than trying to solve all the, the outcomes of what the real issue is. So yeah, I tried to make some pretty radical changes for me at the time. I'm still a work in progress. I'm still going through all of those same things, but I definitely have a much healthier relationship with myself now.